What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Sin City Crypto. I am your host, David. I'm joined by Robin, and today we are diving into what Gary Gensler said at a meeting and what Ripple said in response to what Gary says. So let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Gary Gensler is apparently backing the CFTC's oversight of cryptocurrencies that are commodities. This is sourced from Decrypt. Gensler supports handing CFTC power to, quote, oversee and regulate crypto non-security tokens and related intermediaries. Should Congress give CFTC prime oversight, Gary says the SEC shouldn't be overlooked. This is a quote from him. The securities laws have made our capital markets the envy of the world. The quotes don't stop there, as he continued to quote the very first SEC chairman multiple times. Moving on to what Ripple had to say, the general counsel responded to Gary Gensler. This information was sourced from the Daily Huddle. General counsel Stuart Alderoty said the SEC's approach to regulating crypto is akin to political power grabbing. And one of the quotes that the general counsel brought up from the same chairman, first chairman that Gary Gensler was quoting, said, quote, I wanted power. I thought money would give me power. And so I made money only to discover that it was politics, not money, that really gave a man power. So what seems like Gary Gensler was taking quotes from this first chairman about the positives of the SEC and what it looks to do in the markets. Here we have the general counsel of Ripple bringing up a quote that the same chairman said that kind of goes against what Gary Gensler was saying. So before we get into conversation, what defines security? This talk has been around for ages and has come to the forefront in the cryptocurrency market. Something called the Howey test. It was created back in 1943. So it's an 80-year-old test to see whether a coin, a company, anything is considered an investment contract. You have 4 areas. Is it an investment of money? Are there expectations of profit? Is it in a common enterprise? And does the value come from the efforts of a promoter or a third party? If it meets all 4, it is considered a security. Now, there are some exceptions like gifts, whether the expectation of profits is from a product, whether the efforts are from a commodity, or if the common enterprise is a collectible. So, first of all, are you surprised that Gary Gensler came out and said the CFTC should oversee the crypto non-security tokens?
No, not surprised at all. He has recently been on an interview saying that Bitcoin is a commodity, and we know who regulates commodities, CFTC. And so it's obvious that he seems like he's bending to crypto and that he's being more forward thinking in crypto. But essentially all he's doing is like, hey, you guys take Bitcoin, it's a commodity, I'm gonna rule the rest of this. And that's what he's doing, honestly. Because he knows he can't control Bitcoin. There's nobody to sue. You can sue XRP and Ripple Labs, but you can't really sue Bitcoin. Who is Satoshi? Who is the CEO of Bitcoin? No, nobody. And so it's out of his power grab. He can't touch it. And so him, suggesting the CFTC regulate it makes sense, and especially even with his own narrative.
For me, it's a little, I don't want to use the word alarming, but it's a little weird that over the last, prior to about a couple months ago, Gary has always put Ethereum in with Bitcoin when he talks about commodities and crypto commodities. And recently, he hasn't been doing that. And rumors are they're actually trying to find a way to backtrack on their words as far as Ethereum being considered a commodity. Could it have anything to do with the proof of stake? Chances are it probably does. Now,
proof of stake at its heart, you could make an argument that proof of stake essentially is equity, right? I mean, you look at buying shares of a company. No, that's not what I believe. I'm just saying you can make an easy comparison. Buying shares of a company that return profit, buying shares of Ethereum and returning profit in the form of staking. It's it's a likened to. Now that dismisses all of the utility and the smart contract functionality and the base layer that is Ethereum. So if you're just going to simply look at the ERC20 token and the Ethereum token, could make that argument. There are more parallels in that direction than there is by the mining. So maybe this has changed, at least in their eyes, or it seems it has been. You still see a little hesitancy when it comes to even Gary Gensler deeming Ethereum a security. He has gone out and said, like, Bitcoin is a commodity. I'll leave it at that. And he's kind of floating around this idea that Ethereum could be a security, but he hasn't really. He takes a strong stance on the other cryptos, put it that way. In this one, he's a little bit more hesitant to give it the securities designation.
What is with the softening of the tone? Because he now supports, right? It was this bitter battle between the CFTC and SEC, and now he makes a statement. Should Congress give CFTC prime oversight, the SEC shouldn't be overlooked. This sounds like a last-ditch effort. Does he know what's coming? Does he know that Congress is about to vote and give the CFTC essentially full oversight over the cryptocurrency markets?
It's a possibility. I wouldn't think that. I don't think that he's preparing for that. I think he's still staying the course as though nothing's going to happen. He might even be delusional and think that no power will get stripped away from him. Regulation is coming. It's in Congress right now. It's up for a vote here soon. And whether he likes it or not, or even we like it or not, or crypto industry likes it or not, there is regulation coming, and it's expected. It's not that nobody really thinks that we're going to be unregulated for all of eternity and be integrated into every person's life and essentially run the financial sector as we know it now, because crypto is going to replace a lot of the older systems, and in doing so, there's going to be ripe for corruption, and the government's going to step in to protect investors and everyday people. And will they overreach? Hell yeah. But it's coming. And I think Gary Gensler is probably delusional, or at least he doesn't want to give up his power. But
I want to go back to what the general counsel of Ripple said. Stuart Alderodi said their approach to regulating is essentially a political power grab. Are you in line with this statement?
I think that's just in politics at this level. I think what this quote was referenced is that at this level, it's not about money and paychecks. It's all about how hard can you push and how much can you get away with to prove that you have power over other people, systems, companies, cryptos. So I think what they're referencing here is that it ain't about money. It ain't about doing what's right. It's about the SEC, Gary Gensler, basically trying to control as much as they can, push as much muscle as they can around. And in doing so, you get this gratitude of I am powerful and this is what I do. And which is why they reference a quote where the guy's, Mr. Kennedy is saying that it's not about money. It's about power. That's what it was for me. It was about how much power could I get. And right now, I mean, how much power are you swaying over the stock market? It's already set in its ways. It runs like a machine. It's got rules and bounds, and nobody gets outside of that. And you see something like crypto, and that's an opportunity. You're like, all right, I'm going to be a bully, and I'm going to push around, and I'm going to be the big guy. I'm going to show how powerful I am.
So do we need Congress to step in with legislation? Because right now there's no rule. There's no laws on crypto. There's no laws saying now. Gary Gensler has said numerous times that he would like crypto exchanges to go down there and register as securities platforms, brokerages, whatever you want to call them. Are we going to have to see Congress step in legally, use the legal system to essentially give power to one of these, whether it's the CFTC or the SEC, or do we leave it up to Gary and Rostin Benham, who is the chair of the CFTC, to work it out and divvy up their roles?
What you said, the second half, divvying up the roles and splitting up the powers through legislation, is the path that we're currently on.
But is it going to be
the one that makes the most sense
through legislation, or can they figure it out on their own?
No.
Mom and dad are going to have to step in?
Yeah, because right now, figuring it out on your own is what we have now. And I mean, the system works.
But do you think it's hindering cryptocurrency, whether it be prices, whether it be adoption?
The uncertainty is what's hindering. Is the fact that as an institution, you sure can go out and buy Bitcoin, but outside of that, there's a lot of unknowns. I mean, even buying Ethereum, I mean, think about it. If the SEC were to shift its stance, change gears, and say that now that Ethereum is proof of stake, it is a security, which, as we discussed in the beginning of this video, could be an argument we see here in the near future. And if that were to happen, I mean, you wouldn't even feel comfortable as an institution investing in Ethereum, because what happens if there's a lawsuit? I mean, we saw what happened to the price action of XRP, just as a simple personal portfolio or investment. You saw that basically diminish and dwindle away as other cryptocurrencies pumped. And so if you're an institution and you buy Ethereum, as an example, and all of a sudden there's a lawsuit against Ethereum and a delisting on the exchanges, we understand that the price would fundamentally be broken, right? And if you're investing as an institution, you can't have that happen. You can't have Ethereum go from $1,700 down to $200 because of a SEC lawsuit. That's unacceptable. And so that potential risk is stopping people from investing. Not to mention, if you get tied up in it because you're a huge institution, and you can be liable as well with some kind of lawsuits as well from the SEC or fines. So it goes even further than that. And so until there's clear regulation, you're, as an institution, as a hedge fund, as a large accredited investor handling other people's money, you are going to stay away from all crypto outside of Bitcoin until there's regulation, because there's risk and downside,
or at least some clarity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, clarity is regulation that makes sense, right? Clarity means that you have clear defined goals from legislation, that the CFTC is handling this part of crypto, the SEC is handling this part of crypto. You get the green light here to interact, use, and purchase and hold this crypto, and this crypto here fits those parameters. They got the check mark, I guess you would say. And then once all of that gets check marked in, then you can move forward in investment, or buying, or whatever it is. But right now, too much uncertainty, and outside of Bitcoin as an institution, it would be a difficult move to take somebody else's money and invest it in crypto.
Here's what I'll say to kind of wrap this thing up. Is Gary Gensler and the SEC have said numerous times, investor protection. We want to protect the investor. We want to protect the average American. We want your hard-earned money to be protected. But actions speak louder than words. And so I'm in 100% agreement with the general counsel of Ripple, and that this move and what he's saying now and what he's been doing is just a political power grab. How much power can I have? How much power can I take? And how much power can I keep? When will we get more clarity in the crypto markets? Who knows? Maybe when Gary Gensler goes away, or maybe Congress will have to step in, divvy up the roles, and gives the CFTC complete oversight of the cryptocurrency markets. We won't know until that happens, but we will continue to keep you in the loop. So make sure to subscribe and hit your bell notifications, and come join us Monday through Friday live at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Till then, have a great weekend, friends. Take care. Peace.